For months, Candace Owens has dominated the conversation surrounding Charlie Kirk's assassination. She has raised questions about Israel, Turning Point USA, Erika Kirk, the weapon, the shooter, and even whether an explosive device was hidden inside the microphone. But Andrew Wilson just went on to the biggest podcast in the world, said Candace Owens' name, and did what very few people have been willing to do. He forced these theories to confront the evidence. Wilson didn't pretend that every question surrounding Charlie's death has been answered. Instead, he drew a clear line between asking legitimate questions and repeatedly moving the target whenever the evidence stopped supporting your conclusion. That is what made this Joe Rogan appearance so important. This wasn't simply Andrew Wilson attacking Candace Owens. It was a direct challenge to an entire online narrative that has implicated Israel, TPUSA, and even Charlie Kirk's own widow, without producing evidence strong enough to support those accusations. Today, we're breaking down what Andrew Wilson got right, what remains legitimately unresolved, and whether Candace Owens is still investigating Charlie Kirk's assassination, or protecting a conclusion she decided long ago. All right, first we're going to take a look at this clip, and this is Andrew Wilson and Joe Rogan mentioned they love conspiracies. They're excited about conspiracies. They want to debate it all the time. But Andrew Wilson said that there are some people online that don't want to defend their conspiracies with actual evidence or just even talk about it.
Can we just be honest? Like, they're fun.
Fun.
They're really fun.
Oh, yeah. Dude, the flat earth one is fun.
Oh, yeah.
The dinosaurs aren't real one, that one's great.
But have you noticed, like, the flat earthers have fleets of people who will debate their stances? Like, fleets of them who are like, we can't wait to debate with you on the flat earth. It's like, on the other side, though, in this particular conspiracy, you can't get these people to debate their positions.
Like, who won't debate their positions?
We offered Candace Owens, I offered her $300,000 to do a debate. I was like, we'll give you $300,000.
What is her position? What does she think happened?
Now, I don't know if Joe Rogan is just playing into this, that he doesn't know, because a lot of times I don't understand if Joe Rogan is really this much checked out of what's going on, if he just plays that Tucker Carlson kind of vibe of, well, what does that even mean? I don't understand what you're talking about. Can you explain? Well, I don't even know. I've never heard that before. Or does Joe Rogan really not know? Because he's very familiar, it seems like, with a lot of the things going on, but right now he doesn't understand what Candace Owens' argument is about. And that really surprises me.
He thinks that Israel worked in conjunction with TPUSA and Erika Kirk to murder Charlie.
Based on what?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Nobody actually knows. She's never presented a single shred of evidence thus far that Israel ever worked to murder Kirk, that Erika Kirk certainly didn't. In fact, her position for the longest time was, if Erika Kirk comes out and tells me to stop the conspiracy on this, I will. So Erika did. She went out publicly and she was like, enough. You're just causing more problems than good here as this investigation's going on. And then suddenly Erika's now part of the conspiracy. By the next day, she's trying to cover it up. She's part of the conspiracy too.
So it was actually very refreshing for me to see Andrew Wilson just let the cat out of the bag. What most people, like, really, unless you're in the very close niche pockets of X that you're really seeing in people challenging Candace Owens, most people, big names out there, have really held back, have really not really attacked her. And I don't even mean to really say like attack, like try to make her look stupid or whatever, but just like challenging her positions. Who did it? Like, what's his name? Wallace or Matt Walsh. He was a big name out there that he did a whole episode regarding this, just point by point, just outlined that how Candace Owens' arguments really fall short. And there's not really much evidence she's putting or making clear. So Andrew Wilson going on this podcast and describing in detail and talking this through with Joe Rogan. And that, like I said, I don't know if Joe Rogan is really that much out to lunch. He doesn't know what's been going on the last 9 months. I guess that's where we're at this point. What Candace Owens has been doing, like, and he brings up that it's just, that is the $1 million question. Like, what she is saying these things, but what's her evidence, or what's her overall conclusion? What is she trying to put forward, and what is backing it up? And Andrew Wilson's like, That's the $1 million question. Nobody really knows. Nobody really knows at this point because Candace has made a lot of just blanket statements, blanket claims, but just there's nothing really there. There's nothing really supporting it and holding it up. It's all just like in midair. So I know a lot of people treat Candace Owens unfairly, but in Joe Rogan's orbit, the people that he surrounds himself with, like Tim Dillon and Theo Vaughn, and just a lot of bigger names out there that are very much like Candace Owens and are going to defend her regardless what she's saying. They're like, oh, that's just Candace being Candace. So they don't want to go into what she is postulating, the hypothesis, the argument that she is putting forward. They don't want to get into those details, but the overall argument, what is holding it all together is Israel. And this started with Ian Carroll when right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, like immediately he posted, Israel did it. Israel is the one who put all this together, concocted this whole situation when nothing had, like Charlie Kirk's blood was fresh at that point. Nothing, he had not been buried. They hadn't had their funeral. They hadn't had any of this. No evidence was out. And immediately the conclusion was Israel did it. And that's what so many people jump to. They just go to, if I die in the next whatever, I don't know who said this, but like, I don't know if it was, I didn't want to say it, but like somebody said, like, if I die, it might have even been Candace Owens. I don't know. But she said, Israel did it. Like, it's like they immediately say that's the talking point without any evidence. And it's like, if you really were like that against Israel and you're really concerned with all that they do in this world, because they do a lot of stuff. Obviously, any government out there does. Russia, our government, every government does. So you could say that about anyone. But this almighty spirit that Israel has, and if you really wanted to pin everything on them, you would be a little bit more precise because you're like making your own arguments like not hold water. They don't last because you're saying they're doing everything with what they actually do that might not be in our interest as America. It's like, how can we? You're crying wolf around every corner. That's what it's pretty frustrating when people just blanketly say Israel did it or whatever. And that's what Ian Carroll and other people like him that just started this ball rolling. But I want to keep Candace Owens, her position. I want to treat it fairly because like I've said from the beginning, I was interested in what Candace Owens was saying. I did not listen to her ever before that. I always liked Candace Owens. She was just a conservative woman. I cared what she said. I really took it like seriously. But I knew she got into some conspiracies a lot of times, and I really hadn't dug into the details. And I think it was in October I started hearing her more and more, and she sounded pretty reasonable. Like the things that she was asking sounded pretty reasonable up until we got into November. And then it seems like things just started to go off the rails, and I couldn't take her position seriously. And this is completely morphed. And I get the point. If you're really, you want to get to the truth that Charlie, it was one of your very good friends. You want to find out what happened. So I get her point. But how this is morphed and went in all these directions and just blanket, like shotgun blast, I'm going to accuse you, or if I get tired of it, or if I completely look ignorant, I'm just going to pivot and go somewhere else. It doesn't make sense, a lot of the things that she's put forward. It seems like she's jumped to a conclusion and she's doing everything to support this conclusion that she's concocted and made up. So she's talked about like the weapon, the wound, the rooftop. She's got into the footage of the alleged shooter. She's just put that out that she had this. Somehow she had this information that nobody else had. It probably was legitimate. It probably is like the legitimate footage of the shooter. But her immediate reaction was that this is like a trained military operative that Tyler Robinson is just this guy that they're like almost framing, or just like this useful idiot that they're using. But it just doesn't make sense when you really peel back the layers. But I understand her argument. And Andrew Wilson challenging her. The central argument, like all these suspicious details don't automatically lend evidence to this larger conspiracy. Just because you are suspicious about this thing happening over here, and this, the maroon shirts, everything that she jumped to, or she wasn't originally saying the exploding mic, but then she something like derailed her, so she went to the exploding mic theory, and now she's completely off of that. The way I see it, if something pushes you towards something, if there is actually something there, I'm interested in it as well. But just these random like theories that you're just taking whatever, you're like taking the bottom like floor of all these things that people have just eaten up and then thrown up, and then you're just recycling it and putting it back in front of everybody just to keep this ongoing saga going to support your overall narrative. Because her overall narrative is that Israel number one, and then TPUSA number two, and then she looped in Erika Kirk. Andrew Wilson very like poignantly pointed out that this is not Candace Owens' doing. She is caught up in this. She is in this whirlwind. She's spinning out of control, and she's being used by these radical leftist groups that wanted to destroy TPUSA. That she is the one caught up in this, and she has the biggest megaphone and platform out there, and she's being used by these leftist lunatics. That's what it is. And I don't know Candace Owens, whether she is left-leaning or not. I don't know if one way or the other. If she's really been a conservative, or she just always plays it, whatever. Like, she started off left-leaning, then she became awakened, and she became this black Exodus person of this movement, going into the conservatives, becoming conservative, leaving the Democrat Party. Or was she just grifting and seeing like that there's popularity here, and that now, but her true roots are leftist ideals? I don't know, but I do know that what Andrew Wilson, like what he's talking about, and there's not actual documentary evidence, like in the sense like emails, but Andrew Wilson points out that it's the people on X, these public forums, they're colluding together, they're throwing whatever conspiracy out there, and they're just like building each other up, agreeing with each other. All this whole narrative is to discredit TPUSA and destroy Turning Point, what Charlie Kirk was building. And this wasn't just like they took an opportunity because he got killed and got murdered in front of everybody, but they wanted to destroy TPUSA before Charlie Kirk was killed. They were seeing what he was changing the narrative of the ideas of young youth, of young people in college, that they're coming to like the conservative right, traditional values, and they wanted to dismantle that. And now Candace Owens is just being this useful idiot, and she's just being the spokesman, the biggest spokesman for all of it, and pushing it all forward. But really, it's their doing. It's what they were wanting to do. And you could say that there could be something going on with this leftist organization or whatever's out there in the ether, that they were the ones that were putting Tyler Robinson up to it. They were in these Discord rooms and chats or whatever, because these trans people that are, we're seeing all these mass shootings happening by trans people, because they want to just destroy the Western values that we have, that are built on Christian values ultimately. So Andrew Wilson, he gets into the firearm, the ballistics discussion, and like he opens Joe Rogan's eyes to that, like a 30-06 doesn't mean it's going to just blow through someone's neck, from however 100 yards away or more. Because that always tripped me up as well. To be honest, like, how is there no exit wound? How is there not more happening? But then, like, this is an antique rifle. It's from hundreds of yards away. It's when it's hitting skin or the flesh, we don't know what it's going to do. And ballistics experts out there, which Andrew Wilson, he's clear that he's not that, but he knows a whole lot about guns, and he's familiar with the history like that we have from the World War II and Vietnam and all that. Like, there's a lot of documentary evidence of what bullets do when they encounter flesh. And he's talking about like full metal bullets going through, and I don't know the exact terminology between them, but he makes it clear, like, the one that Charlie Kirk was shot with wasn't like the full metal one. It sounds like it's not even that, and even the full metal ones have been known to not penetrate and go through skin and go. So that's for their discussion and getting into like the exit wound, because that really tripped me up a lot. Like, I was like, how is this not happening? How is this not like, how can, because when even with that Navy SEAL guy, Rob the guy who shot Osama bin Laden, he got into it and he's weighed into it about the ballistics and all that and what bullets do and rifles. And he knows a lot. But him being concerned about it, really what have I believed this whole time? I'm not a person that's just going to buy a Fed slop narrative. I'm obviously I care about what is actual truth. And I want to get there whichever way it leads. If the government's telling the truth, I want to believe it. If they're lying and they're not telling the whole story or covering up things, yes, I want to get to it as well. And I think that people that are honest care about that's their mindset. But it does not seem that has been Candace Owens' mindset. So now going into where she got along down the road about the exploding microphone theory. That was the way, right before the pretrial, that was the direction she was heading. And that was what she was kind of pulling everything together and pinning the Rode microphone. And that years were leading up to this, that they were warming Charlie Kirk up to this idea of wearing a microphone, even though he's got a microphone in front of him, and moving it in certain ways, just getting them used to it, having it under his shirt, and just to prepare him for this moment that they somehow saw in the future that was going to happen. It didn't make sense at all. So he's got this whole team around him, the people that he's familiar with for years, and they're somehow involved in this event that was going to happen and lead up to. And I know I'm not trying to put words in Candace's mouth, but a lot of the things, she never finishes the thought or the sentence fully, or what she just expects you to reach a conclusion that she's hinting at. She doesn't give the full picture, and she doesn't take it to its logical conclusion. She just creates these assumptions that she wants you to assume. So now, whenever it moved into because right when it all happened, and Candace was. Well, he's my best friend, and she was torn up. I was torn up about it whenever it immediately happened. Even since then, it's been bad, and I didn't even know Charlie personal. But Candace, she got into where she started going towards TPUSA, saying that she's seeing Charlie Kirk in dreams, and him saying that I was betrayed. And then it got into, well, Israel has to be behind it, and it was because he was turning against the pro-Israel cause. And then he got into where we got to the Iran war, and then that has to be it. It's because he was going to oppose the war in Iran. And then then she said, well, I will not stop, or I will stop if the people that tell me to stop was Erika Kirk or her husband. Erika Kirk comes out in December, says stop. And then Candace immediately, she just turns and pivots towards Erika Kirk, puts her in her crosshairs, says that she's a part of this conspiracy, part of this, and being complicit with Charlie's murder. So it's went off in so many different directions. There hasn't been a cohesive thought progression, or what does the actual evidence lead to? It's just these random offshoots that are going in all these different directions. Now she has become the biggest defender of Tyler Robinson, and that is her saying that he's somehow in on it, but he's not the actual guy. And even if the evidence shows that there's actual footage of him shooting, which I don't know if we're going to get there or not, because I know they've said that even Jack Posebic and the people in the courtroom said that they saw it. I don't know. And even if it was, it doesn't matter. They're all Candace Owens is entourage, her people, her tribe are going to say it's AI, whatever, it's AI or something, and nothing's going to make you believe. And I think this is when people get caught up in conspiracies, it doesn't matter about the full scope of the story. It's little nuggets and bits of truth all scattered everywhere, and you're just trying to connect the dots yourself without any extra evidence connecting them. And that's what it's frustrating. Because I enjoy conspiracies. I know that there are actual conspiracies, but Candace Owens, how she's put all this together, it doesn't hold water. It doesn't make sense. It's almost her soap opera of, I want to attack this person. I want to attack this organization. I want to attack this country. And she's going to do all of it that's in her power to go after them and use her platform to bring down people's reputations and just at points make them complicit with murder, actual murder. So attacking the organization TPUSA. I think if she feels like there's nothing to lose at this point, she's implicated them and she's implicated Erika Kirk. She's just grabbing everyone and pulling them together. But it's very serious what she's doing, because just to say that like that someone's involved in a murder, or that these people at this organization that Charlie built, he put all of his life into, his energy into building this organization, and now she's completely trying to, from the roots, pull it up and make it go, not a thing anymore. Like she's making that her goal. And I don't know if it's just because she's concerned about lawsuits coming at her, I don't think she's concerned about anything. I really don't. She's fearless, and I would give her is something I would say about her. She is absolutely fearless, and she doesn't care what people think. She's going to say whatever she wants to say. She's not fearful about that, but she is at the same time concerned with views. She's concerned with getting people's attention, and like that narcissistic attitude that she has, that she's going to do everything she can to have everybody look at me. I'm going to say the craziest thing that doesn't make sense or hold water. When you actually talk these things out, they don't hold water. They don't make sense. They're not coherent. And Joe Rogan and Andrew Wilson, there's bigger things in play right here. It's not just Candace Owens. It's not even just like these leftist organizations out there that just wanted to destroy TPUSA, but it's these foreign governments that are seeking this opportunity, using these massive bot campaigns to prop up whoever's going to put a narrative that's not in America's interest. Because I could say that it's not in our interest for the people of America to be at each other's throats to believe lies. And it's not to say that our government itself is telling the absolute truth, which they're probably not. But I would almost lean more to, with our government, that they care about our interests as opposed to foreign governments. They at least care about America continuing forward, and to not go under the thumb of some other foreign regime out there. So why people are believing Candace Owens at this point? Because we really got to think about this. Why are people trusting in what she is saying? Because she is being disproven every day by the ongoing evidence being released. And I don't even think she's really at all concerned with truth whatsoever. Actual truth. Not just the truth that you want to create in your own mind. And I want to believe this, so I'm gonna do everything I can to support this theory. And that's the truth I think she's concerned about. She's she can force herself to believe something immediately, whether there's evidence that supports it or not. But the reason people are following her is because people distrust the legacy media, distrust institutions at this point, and they're following her as anyone on the internet. But she has brought a lot of ruined reputation to this internet fad that is happening of people having a hot take everywhere. Because her saying this, of not following the evidence, being made to look like a fool, it's making all the people that are believing her look like a fool. But it's like they're not concerned about turning to the right way. So they're going to go head first, headstrong, and keep going no matter what, and just believe in this. Because there's a lot of just guppies out there that are believing whatever, and they're just following along wherever this movement's going. They're just continuing to follow along, but they're being used by these organizations out there. It's really just this well thought out, well put together agenda by these leftist lunatics that are on the internet that want to destroy America, want to destroy conservative values and traditional values, and targeting Charlie Kirk was the biggest, he was the guy standing in front of it all. If you wanted the purity of American, the constitutional values, Christian values, America, loving America, and even supporting Israel, which at this point has completely backlashed. It's years, we've lost so many years of people even believe in anything good about Israel. People there's such a low taste for Israel whatsoever. People immediately, but we quickly forget that Charlie Kirk, he supported Israel. He was possibly leaving that cause publicly, I don't think he would have actually. But like text messages like kind of like that show that he was becoming frustrated by his Jewish donors, and he like was like threatening to leave that pro Israel cause. But I it's not like if you in his heart, I don't think he would have. He might have publicly stopped talking about it as much. I don't know the direction he would have held, or if he was just using it as leverage. But people like believing in like Israel and like saying anything good about them, that is completely out the window. So, and I don't think that Israel is necessarily like a hill to die on at this point for like American citizens, because it seems like we are going in the direction of like people not liking Israel or whatever, and seeing them as doing terrible things. But it has become this like Goebbels like campaign of just saying it over and over. Genocide is always wrong. And like when you're saying that, you're just saying that Israel's doing genocide, which I don't think that is actually true. And I know people have said that they are. It doesn't make sense. When you actually look at the evidence and you have an open mind and you from both points of view, it doesn't make sense. So all of this put together, I would say the biggest thing that I saw come out of this was with Andrew Wilson bringing up to Joe Rogan, like, I've called Candace Owens out. I want to debate her. I've offered her $300,000, and I don't understand how he would pay $300,000. Like, just he would actually hand $300,000 over, or how that was all going to happen. Maybe that was what was going to go down, but that she refused that. It seems like if you're not willing to debate whatever your theory is, whatever your viewpoint is, if you're not willing to talk it out and maybe be proven wrong, maybe be made look like a fool, it really doesn't make your whole argument or your viewpoint or theory looked at strong at all. And it's like Andrew Wilson, he's a person that will debate anyone. And I thought it was very refreshing for him to actually air this out and vocalize it on Joe Rogan's podcast, because now everybody, not just in the closed pockets of X that are out there that are seeing this, that Andrew Wilson calling her out, but this is out on the big, like everybody knows this. Candace has been put on blast. She's been challenged. Like, everybody's going to see this. Everybody's going to see Joe Rogan's podcast. I know everybody will. Everybody's going to hear about it. Now, Candace Owens, actually have a conversation with someone that disagrees with you. It doesn't need to be combative. And I don't think like in debate is not. It's like I want to prove you wrong to prove you wrong for that sake. It's like, what is the actual truth? What is the evidence? The things that you're putting up there, what is it like? It's not standing the test of truth. It's not that. There might be sprinkled bits of truth and falsehoods in there, but like, if there is what you're saying, and fully flesh out your viewpoint of what went down, and don't be like and shield your arguments by not fully saying it. Like I just hear bits and pieces like, oh, Israel somehow like, but she never like she alludes to Israel, like that's almost her strongest thing, and Erika Kirk, but she doesn't always just it's so couched in language that can keep her. I haven't said it. She came out like a months ago and saying that I never said Erika Kirk murdered Charlie. I never said that. You don't have me on record saying that. Like that almost made me like lose my mind. Like, what have you been doing this whole time? Like, not like using the exact wording. Do you think that covers you from not like pushing that narrative or that point? That's why it like, I would just say Candace Owens, she can, it's frustrating sometimes the way that she does. I've tried to keep like even and like take her seriously and hear her out every time that I listen to her. But it's very frustrating. And this is somebody that like Joe Rogan hearing this for the first time. This is very good stuff, because he's been a person that he kind of leaned into going after Erika Kirk and supporting this whole narrative, or like questioning it, like kind of because he's friends with Tim Dillon and the Erika Kirk coming out to the sparklers and all that and all that going on. Like, I didn't even watch the Charlie Kirk like that memorial. I didn't even see I saw clips and all that, and I know that was a huge moment for America coming together and remembering this man and then her coming out and doing all that. But all this is done is like when Joe Rogan, he leaned into like, oh, her eyes, her demeanor, her she just looks so off. She looks so weird, or he. And that was like the hardest moment for me for Joe Rogan. This is a story that is at the heart of America. It can make you stop liking or stop trusting someone based on this, because this whole viewpoint of how Candace Owens has done this has just basically set up the whole zeitgeist and the ethos of our culture. You know, I know people have checked out. I've honestly checked out watching Candace Owens at all. I cannot take her seriously. I cannot watch her. I cannot listen to her theories because there's no like good faith or goodwill there. There's no like of correcting yourself or couching your language and like of being more charitable. She's been unhinged. And she keeps it cool. I understand that she's good at keeping it cool, but she infected the mind of even Joe Rogan. And it's not even necessarily her, but her acolytes and the people that she's friends with, you know, and or the people that say they're friends with. And it's not even a friend thing. It's not a friend thing. It's more of a fear thing, because even like you could say like, whether you or say that like Jack Pacific, he doesn't want to say anything. He don't want to say Candace Owens' name whatsoever. He's scared to death. And I get it, because imagine you die, and imagine your wife is left by herself, and the possibility of everything that you've built up and your wife, your family just being attacked by Candace Owens. Is that why you're scared? I mean, that is a scary thing. I mean, you're leaving your family, your wife, your widow in the hands of God. God, you take care of her, because it seems like Candace Owens, she doesn't care. There's nothing holding her back. She will unleash on anyone. And that's proven by somebody that she says was a dear friend of hers, that she has put a whole campaign, a whole almost year-long saga of attacking his widow. And she just makes it fun. She makes fun of people saying, the Lord just makes fun of people saying that, or the widow. It's like, and whenever anybody brings up a Bible verse, she almost like laughs at it. I've said before, I was concerned about her, but at a certain point, you got to just take people's words at what they are and their actions as opposed to just praying for them. You know, like at some point there is a time when you stop casting your pearls before a swine. That's what our Lord said. There, you recognize that sometimes people are so far gone. All you are going to do is you're going to harm them more by telling them more truth. By revealing more truth to them, all you are doing is condemning them, because they are casting it all off. If their ears are closed, they don't want to hear it, and they're going to make fun of you for doing it, for talking about it. And I think that like that is almost to the point of what has happened with Candace Owens in this whole saga that's been going on. This odyssey, and I know that's fresh because of the whole movie. That brings it to life. The odyssey that is happening with Candace Owens and her attack on Israel, which everybody's attacking Israel, so she's off the hook for that. Off of TPUSA, which was basically Charlie Kirk's child that he raised up and built up, and then his wife, his widow now, and that's who she's going after, and she doesn't care about anything. I just almost want the good faith somehow to be just injected into her. Like, seriously, are you willing to like talk this out? Are you willing to actually have a conversation with someone? I know Andrew Wilson debates everyone. He's one of the best debaters out there, but I'm sure he would be much more concerned about talking it through, talking what the actual evidence is, these leaps to conclusions that you're making. What does something actually support it, or are you just like taking a chance, a shot, a possibility? Like, is that what's going on? Because I understand, like taking the craziest conspiracies out there and just taking a chance. It could be real, but like these are like people's lives. You're making them, you're accusing them of things that like they're gonna live the rest of their life with, of being tainted with this, and people looking at them different, and so that I just almost want her mind to be opened as opposed to closed in on this. So at what point does investigating the truth just become protecting a theory? And I think that is where we're at with Candace Owens. She's no longer investigating. She's no longer just asking questions. She has a conclusion that's really not fleshed out, that's really not made clear, but just blanketly just putting something on whoever she doesn't like and making them look like that they were involved in this whole assassination of Charlie Kirk. And like that goes to Israel, it goes to TPUSA, and goes to Charlie Kirk. And so it's no longer investigating truth. It's just protecting her conclusion that she's reached. And that's where I'm at with this. Let me know what you all think. I still wish the best for Candace. I hope she comes to the light. I hope she's open to the light. But we've seen that even Satan himself is an angel of light. So people can look like that. They can say whatever. So it doesn't matter how good you look. Even the smartest, most intelligent being out there, created being out there, became the most evil being out there. So I'm not saying that Candace, she's not beyond, redemption or anything like that. And, she would even say herself she's a Christian. But a Christian is not somebody who says, I'm a Christian. I got a relationship with Jesus. Or I'm in the Catholic Church. I've been baptized. I've done communion. And I'm holding on to these random things. And that's what's going to get me through the pearly gates. No, being a Christian is actually being a Christian. It's not just word service. And I think that that's a lot of what a lot of people out there think. So we'll leave it at that. If you've enjoyed this conversation, hit a like, subscribe, and stick around. We've got a lot more to talk about. I'll see y'all next time.